Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear students, with you Dr. Adel Hussien, we will complete our course Social Accounting. In the last lectures, we finished chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now we will begin chapter 3, Accounting for Human Assets. Introduction. Accounting for human assets is one of the most important topics related to intellectual capital, where the research and discussion focuses on the nature and importance of human assets and their components and methods of evaluating this non-traditional type of assets. So the discussion focuses on number 1, nature of human assets, 2, importance of human assets, 3, components of human assets, 4, methods of evaluating human assets. Accounting literature also studied the impact of accounting on human assets on the quality and effectiveness of various decisions. Learning objective number 1, the importance of accounting for human assets. With regard to the importance of accounting for human assets, it can be noted that the human element is the most important type of asset in different enterprises, because human assets affect directly on productivity, so in terms of its impact on productivity. 2, the human element can be considered as long-term investments of economic units in the form of increased productivity if managed effectively. To achieve high productivity, you must manage the human element effectively. 3, technological developments play a very important role and are reflected in the performance of economic units. Human element is the most important type of asset in the company, because human assets affect directly on productivity on a condition if it managed effectively. Second, learning objective, components of human assets. The components of human assets are physical components, the physical condition of the internal and external human assets can be expressed in the various activities of the enterprise in 1, selection, appointment, training of human assets, as well as in raising the level of efficiency, as well as the activities of the enterprise to support its relationship between customers and various stakeholders with the entity. So, physical component relates to selection of human assets or human elements, appointment, training, raising the level of efficiency, any activities of the enterprise to support its relationship with customers and various stakeholders such shareholders, creditors with the entity. The second component, cognitive components. It represents the side of knowledge, skills, and experience of the entity's internal human assets. 3. Psychological components. Psychological components are the various factors that affect the motivation of employee towards the work of the enterprise and include intelligence, awareness, and satisfaction with work, moral, and incentives. So there are 3 components of human assets. Learning objective number 3. The objectives of accounting for human assets. A system of accounting for human assets should aim at the following. 1. Measuring the value of human assets in a financial form. 2. Assistance in the planning of human assets in economic units. 3. Helping in the planning of human assets at the macro level, as the rate of people leaving their jobs in the country and the workers migrate to abroad, which may cause the scarcity in some specialties. Learning objective number 4. Accounting treatment of human assets. The value of human assets represents all expenses associated with the productive period of the human element represented by the contract of the human element with the entity. According to the depreciation of human assets equal acquisition cost of human assets divided life of the human assets. According to journal entries, 1. The cost of obtaining the human assets, it means assets is increased, so it will be in the debit side. We paid this cash, so cash will be in the credit side, because cash is an asset and decreases, so it will be in the debit side, credit side. 2. The cost of advertising on human assets and the cost of training human assets. These expenses are related to an asset, so it will be capitalized on this assets or loading on this assets. In the first stage, these expenses will be in the debit side and cash will be in the credit side, because cash is an asset and decreases, so it will be in the credit side, and expenses will be in the debit side. In the second stage, these expenses will be loaded to the human assets or will be capitalized on the human assets, because these expenses are related to an asset. These expenses very important to make an asset valid to use. So we will load these expenses on the assets, so human assets will be increased, so it will be in the debit side. These expenses will be in the credit side because we closed these expenses in the assets. Four, a depreciation premium shall be made in one of the known or fixed consumption methods, such as straight line method. The entry will be depreciation of human assets, and the credit side will be human assets, not accumulated depreciation, because this is human assets, not fixed assets. So there isn't any accumulated depreciation. Depreciation means reduction in the value of asset, so human assets will be in the credit side because it decreases by depreciation. So depreciation premium will be in the debit, human asset credit because it decreases. At the end of the year, depreciation closed in the statement of social costs and benefits. In the first stage, depreciation premium in the debit side. If you want to close premium depreciation, it will be in the credit side. So the entry will be statement of social costs and benefits, credit depreciation of human assets. Statement of social costs and benefits will be in the debit side because the depreciation of human assets led to the reduction of the profits, so statement of social costs and benefits will be in the debit side. Disclosure in the financial statements shows the depreciation of social assets in the statement of social costs and benefits as follows. According to matching principle, statement of social costs and benefits, expenses and revenue. Expenses, we will put depreciation of human assets. Social assets and accumulated depreciation are shown as follows. Assets and liabilities plus owner's equity. Assets, there are three types of assets: economic assets, social assets, human assets. Economic assets and social assets, book value minus accumulated depreciation. Human assets, there isn't any accumulated depreciation. Dispensing with human assets. Human assets may be dispensed with amount of money. We must calculate gains or losses of dispensing. Gains or losses of dispensing equal amount of transfer or sale minus the book value of human assets. Book value of human assets equal cost of acquisition of human element minus total depreciation premium. The entry in the case of gains will be cash equal sales price or transfer amount will be in the debit side. So cash in the debit side because it increases. Human assets will be in the credit side because human assets is dispensed. profits will be in the credit side. In the case of losses, the entry will be cash in the debit side, losses in the debit side, human assets is decreased, so it will be in the credit side. Clothing the profits or losses of dispensing of human assets. In the case of profit, in the first stage, profit of dispensing human assets in the credit side. So if you want to close the profits, it will be in the debit side, and the credit side will be statement of social costs and benefits. Profit of dispensing human assets in the debit side because we close it. A statement of social costs and benefits will be in the credit side because profit leads to the maximization of profits. So statement of social costs and benefits will be in the credit side. In the case of losses, the entry will be statement of social costs and benefits in the debit side, losses in the credit side, because losses in the first stage, it will be in the debit side. If you wanted to close these losses, it will be in the credit side. A statement of social costs and benefits in the debit side because losses lead to the reduction of the profit. So statement of social costs and benefits will be in the debit side. Example: on 1 December 2019, Dar Shifa Hospital advertised the need to contract with awarded expert in heart transplantation. On 1 January 2020, the hospital contracted with a US surgeon specializing in heart transplantation for work 5 years against £2 million received by the surgeon at the time of contracting. Note that the cost of advertising £100,000. At the end of 2022, the hospital submitted a request to the hospital in Jeddah for the transfer of the surgeon to work for the compensation of Dar Shifa Hospital on the amount of £1,200,000 required. Prepare journal entries, prepare closing entries, show the impact of these entries on social financial statements. The first journal entry will be obtaining the human assets. Obtaining human assets, it means human assets increases, so it will be in the debit side. We paid these amounts cash, so cash decreases, so it will be in the credit side. 2 million in the debit side, 2 million in the credit side. The cost of advertising on human assets. This type of expenses will be recorded in 2 stages. Stage number 1, advertising expense of human assets will be in the debit side because it is an expense. Cash will be in the credit side because cash and assets and decreases. 100,000 in the credit side, 100,000 in the debit side. The second stage, this expense should capitalize, should load on the human assets. So this expense will be in the credit side, human assets will be in the debit side. Human assets will be in the debit side because it increases. Advertising expense will be in the credit side because we will close this expense in the asset. So our asset now, the value of human assets will be exactly 2,100,000. 2 million cost of obtaining. 2 million cost of obtaining the asset. 100,000 advertising expense of human assets. At the end of the first year, 2020, a depreciation premium shall be made in one of the known or fixed consumption method, straight line method for computing depreciation, for example. The entry will be, before making the entry, you should firstly calculate the depreciation amount. Depreciation amount equal cost of an asset divided life. Cost of an asset equal 2,100,000 divided 5 equal 420,000. So the entry will be depreciation of human assets in the debit side. Human assets decreases, so it will be in the credit side. The amount will be 420,000 in the debit, 420,000 in the credit. At the end of the first year, 2020, premium depreciation closed in the statement of social costs and benefits. Firstly, premium depreciation will be in the debit side and human assets will be in the credit side. When we want to close depreciation, depreciation will be in the credit side as follows. Depreciation of human assets will be in the credit side. In the debit side, we put statement of social costs and benefits because depreciation lead to the reduction of profits, so a statement of social costs and benefits will be in the debit side. Okay. Disclosure in the financial statements shows the depreciation of social assets or the depreciation of any asset in a statement of social costs and benefits. Social costs and benefits contain from two sections: expenses, revenue. Expenses, depreciation of human assets, depreciation of social assets, depreciation of any asset. In our example, depreciation of human assets. The amount of depreciation will be 420,000. Economic and social assets and their accumulated depreciation, as well as human assets, are shown as follow in the budget or balance sheet. Balance sheet consists of assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. Assets, economic assets, social assets, human assets. In our example, we focus on human assets. The value of human assets equal cost of acquisition, cost of obtaining human assets equal 2,100,000 minus depreciation amount, total depreciation amount 420,000. So human assets equal 1,680,000. Dispensing with human assets at the end of 2022. It means that this asset has been maintained in our company or in our hospital for 3 years, from 2020 to 2022. Human assets may be dispensed with amount of money. If we want to calculate gain of dispensing or losses of dispensing, we should apply the following steps. Number one, you should calculate book value of human assets equal cost of acquisition of human assets 2,100,000 minus total depreciation premium. This asset has been maintained in our hospital for 3 years. Depreciation per year equal 420,000. So total depreciation premium will be 420,000 multiplied 3 years equal 1,260,000. So the book value of human assets will be 840,000. Second step, gain or loss of dispensing equal amount of transfer 1,200,000 minus book value of human assets in the first step equal gain, because the amount of transfer is greater than the book value of human assets. So gain of dispensing equal 36,000. The entry will be in the debit side. We should put cash because cash is an asset and increases. Total amount of transfer or total amount of sale equal 1,200,000. Human assets will be in the credit side because it is an asset and decreases. The amount will be at book value equal 840,000. The difference between the amount of cash and the amount of human assets will be the profit. The profit will be put in the credit side. Closing profits of dispensing of human assets. In the first stage, profits will be in the credit side. So when we close the profits, it will be in the debit side. Profit of dispensing human assets in the debit side. Statement of social costs and benefits will be in the credit side. Disclosure in financial statements at the end of 2022. Depreciation of human assets, the same amount, 420,000. Revenue will be profit of dispensing human assets. Economic and social assets and their accumulated depreciation, as well as human assets, are shown as follow in the budget or in the balance sheet at the end of the year 2022. There isn't economic assets in our example. There isn't social assets in our example. Human assets is dispensed, so there isn't any value for human assets. Now we finished chapter 3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Thank you for listening.